Alright, this is going to be a tutorial on making a coaster that you're going to use the CNC machine for. I'm going to kind of demonstrate two different options. I have a round coaster that you would start with some square stock, and you're going to make it cut out to be round, cut this pocket, and then just kind of cut out a letter of your choosing for your name. And then I will also kind of show maybe you want a square coaster, same thing, pocket, letter for your name. So let's get started here. So I'm going to start a new design. I'm in Fusion 360, and I'm going to start a new sketch. And I'm going to choose the XY sketch, or XY plane. That's this bottom plane. For as far as manufacturing later on, it makes it 10 times easier if you just build on this plane. If you choose one of these planes, when you go to design your toolpath, your whole object will be oriented up, and it makes it harder to kind of to make your toolpath. It is possible, but it does take a lot of work to kind of figure out how to orient it back. So I like the bottom plane, and I'm going to start with a round coaster. So I'm going to start with a circle, and this is going to be, I believe I'm going to do 5 by 5 in a 5-inch diameter circle. So I chose right in the center, just kind of make it easy. I'm going to finish this sketch. I like to look at my orthographic view here by pressing the home button here, and then I'm going to press E for extrude, and I'm going to extrude that. The wood that I'm going to use is 3/4 of an inch, so I'm going to use a 3/4 inch extrude. Alright, now I'm going to make my pocket. So I'm going to start a new sketch, and I'm going to sketch on this top face of that cylinder I just made, and I'm going to again do a center point circle. And this time for my actual pocket, I'm going to do a 4-inch diameter. I'm in inches. If you need to change yours, if you go to document settings, we're in inches. You can change yours to millimeters, inches. I like using inches because that's what I'm used to. And there's my inside circle, and I'm going to extrude that down, 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to press extrude or press E in the keyboard. I'm going to type in 1/4. I can also type in 0.25. I can also type in, let's say, 3/4 minus 2/4, or 3/4 minus a half, a half. That would give us 1/4 as well. Now you can see that's actually going up, and I want it to go down, so I'm actually going to go negative 1/4. Press OK. My operation is cut. There is my pocket that I'm going to create. Next thing, I'm going to put a letter on there. I'm trying to see, I like this one, the font that I chose. So I'm going to look at to see what kind of font I did choose here. And I don't know if I can go back to it. So let's go start a new sketch. I'm going to sketch right on there, and I'm going to go to create text, and I'm just going to make a box kind of in here, and I'm going to type in the letter M, and here your height might be different. Mine's set right now at 2 inches. You can change that. I like 2 inches. I think that's a good size for what we have here. And currently it's Rage Italic. So this is the part where you kind of have to decide what text you would like to use. I'm trying to remember the text that I did use. Let's see here. I don't like that. That was not bad. It's kind of boring. I'm going to just choose one, just to choose one here, so I can always come back. There we go, that'll work. And then you can kind of press for alignment. I'm at center and center. You can change that however you need, but I think that's probably going to be the easiest as far as getting it where I want. And I'm just going to, there's my center point of my M. I'm going to put it right on that center, so I think I'm centered there. And I want to go back into that sketch. So I went out of that sketch. If I need to go back into it, I'm going to open that. Here's my first sketch. There's the second sketch. And I can right click these and edit them and change any dimensions as I need. I'm going to edit my sketch 3. And this is why I couldn't go back. I'm going to actually right click my M and I'm going to go explode text, and it's going to just be this outline. Um, that's going to make it easier on doing our toolpath. Alright, so there's my letter M. See if that's the same. It's pretty close. Now I'm going to save this. I'm going to save, and for my location, I have way too many folders. I'm going to have one called CNC router, and I'm going to name it round Monarchy round coaster, and I'm going to hit save. Now to make my toolpath, I'm going to go to manufacture. So over, instead of being in the design, I'm going to go to manufacture, and here is the manufacturer stage here. So yours is going to probably automatically default to millimeters. I've been playing around with it, so mine's already set to inches, but even if you designed in inches, it's going to change this over to millimeters, so you're going to want to change this over to inch so it matches. First thing we have to do is set up our original stock that we're bringing into the machine. So we're going to go to setup and new setup, and it's going to look like this. So here's this piece of wood that we're going to bring in. Alright, first thing is we're going to pick our origin. So they automatically put it in the middle here. Most times, and what we're going to do today, we're going to choose the bottom left hand corner for our origin. Alright, for model, I'm just going to select the body, and it chooses that. Now I'm going to go over to stock, and mode, you could do fixed size box, and that gives me a 5 by 5 by 1 by a height of 1, and you can see how my piece there is in the middle. I'm not going to have that. I don't want that. So I want to make sure here for my height, I'm going to do 0.75, and that will change so that the height is the same. You could do relative size box, and it adds offset. So now you can see it's at the bottom, but you can see they added extra material on every side of it. That's sometimes okay to use, but if you want to take that off, you can do no additional stock, or you can change it. Right now it's got a 0.04, 400, or you can do no additional stock. And then our piece of wood that we're going to do is 5 by 5 by 3/4, which I think that's great. And post process, I have an offset of 1, change it to that as well. Press OK, and then our setup is ready. So for our toolpaths now, we need to select, we're going to first do a 2D pocket. We're going to cut out this pocket right here. So 2D pocket, and that's going to drill out this first initial pocket. So the first thing I'm going to do is on my tool, I'm going to select, I'm going to use a 1/4 inch flat end mill bit. So on yours, you should have a Fusion library. You're going to have these. Yours might be set to turn off, so you might need to turn library on. When you click over to milling tools, I'm in inches, so this is kind of the Fusion libraries. You might have to turn it on. Now I'm going to scroll down. You can see they're in order. I like a 1/4 inch flat end mill, and to kind of understand what that looks like, kind of look what, and they have different kinds, but essentially it's going to look, the one I'm going to use looks similar to this. So I'm going to select that and bring it in. Now the coolant always goes to flood. I'm going to disable that. My cutting feed rate, right now it's set to 39. If I imported a library, it might be different, but this is kind of the Fusions. I found that 80 is much better, so I'm going to change that to 80. For spindle RPM, I'm actually going to change this to 10,000. So that's how fast that bit's going to spin around. The cutting feed rate is how fast that bit is going to move as it's cutting. Multi-axis, the rest of these settings I'm not going to change. For geometry, now I'm going to select pocket, and I'm going to select this bottom pocket. Press OK. The rest machining, stock contours, don't need to touch. Heights, I'm going to come down, and I shouldn't need to change anything on my heights, because it's, so you can see here at the top, our clearance height, that's how high that bit's going to come every time it comes up when it starts. A retract height, in between, if it ever has to move in between a cut, it's going to come up this high. The feed height, that's where it's going to start, initially is that height right there, and then the top height, that is the bottom of our pocket there. But I'm going to go over now to passes, and we don't really need to mess with anything here. I am going to change on multiple depths. I don't want it to cut out all that at one shot. For a maximum roughing step down, this is how far it's going to go down on a max between each cut. I'm going to change that to 1/8 of an inch. Finishing step downs, I'm just going to leave that because I'm going to change over to finishing pass. And you can see here the step over. So that's how far, as it's going to cut this, how far over from the last cut it's going to go. For my finishing pass, I like to make that number pretty small just because it's going to make a little bit less sanding. So I'm going to change that to 0.005. I like to press the smoothing, and then I'm going to finally go over to linking. And I'm going to go down to, I'm going to leave lead in, lead out, same on. For ramp type, helix doesn't work with the Patriot machine. I like to change it to plunge. And everything else then should be okay. And I'm going to press OK, and it's going to generate that toolpath. So you can see there, that blue is the toolpath that the machine is going to be using for that bit. If I right click it, I can choose simulate. And you can kind of mess with these settings over here. You can change your model, viewpoint, all those things. There's our stock, original stock. You can make that transparent. And then I'm going to press play, and I can watch how that machine is going to run as it cuts that coaster out. Pretty simple toolpath. There's my second pass. You can see they're going to be a little bit closer together because I changed that step over. And then that is done. So I also want to, I shouldn't need to cut this out because it's 3/4, but I'm going to do that anyway in case you were maybe starting with higher stock, or maybe you wanted your coaster not to be 3/4 inch. I'm going to do another 2D pocket. Now this time it's already got that 1/4 inch flat end mill coolant. All those settings are saved from before. So I'm not even going to change those. For geometry, I'm going to select my top, and then I want it to cut out this round. So I'm going to choose this bottom corner here, or bottom edge, and you can see how it selects that. I can leave those. Heights, I'm not going to touch again. Passes, I'm going to change on multiple depths again. Change it to 1/8. I'm going to change it, put on smoothing, linking. I'm going to change this again to plunge, and all the other settings should be good to go. Press OK, and it's going to generate this toolpath. So you can see how it cut there. Now when it actually cuts, if I do a 3/4 inch, it's actually not going to cut anything there, but at least it'll be nice and flat on top if it does. Or if I started with like an inch material, it'll cut that down to 3/4. Now it's making the toolpath for this one, and I've noticed this for some reason it's taking a lot longer. It's done that on my practice ones, so you can see it's generating right now to 20%. So instead of waiting for that, I'm going to go to my next thing. I want to cut out this M. To do that, I'm going to go to 2D, and I'm going to actually choose the trace tool. Now for this, I don't want a 1/4 inch flat end mill. I'm actually going to use a special tool that we have from, I don't know how to pronounce it, SPE Tools, and it's this tool right here. We bought these from Amazon a while back, and I like using, I can actually install this actual tool bit and have all the settings from the manufacturer that it recommends to use, and it works pretty well. So to do that, SPE tool database, Fusion 360, I'm going to search that, press enter, and let's see if it looks like it's the second file. Here we go, Fusion 360 compatible tool file. So I'm going to actually download that to my computer, and it's in my downloads folder. So now in Fusion 360, I'm going to go to my local tools. Actually, I'm going to come over here to this side, and I'm going to right click up here somewhere, maybe right click here. Yeah, right click in library, and I'm going to import library. And there is my tool database. I'm going to open it, and now it's got all their tools that I'm going to use. So specifically, I'm looking for this one, and I can see it's W06007. I'm going to search for that. There's probably better ways to search for it, but to W06007. This kind of looks similar right here. So there is that tool bit. I'm going to select it. No coolant. We're using hardwood. And I'm going to come over to geometry now, and I'm going to select my M. Heights, we don't need to do anything with heights, and in fact it doesn't allow you to really change much here. Passes, don't need to do much. We don't need to do multiple depths. We're not going to go very deep on this. We are going to turn on smoothing just to make it, see if that does anything. And then for how deep we want it to go, for this trace tool, it's actually the axial offset. And I'm going to want this to go a -1/8. And I'm going to press, and then everything else should be the same. Linking, don't need to touch that. I'm going to press OK, and it should generate that toolpath. This one's still generating. I'm not sure why it's taken so long. I don't know what setting I have. But we'll see if I can simulate this. It'll give me a warning saying that might not be quite accurate because it's still cutting that, but ooh. Didn't like something here. I might have to pause this for a second.